My master is an unforgivable old demon. Every time I have wicked thoughts of leaving the sect, I always succumb to his tyrannical power. Now, I can finally leave the mountain to carry out a mission. This time, I must have my fill of enjoyment before returning. The fourth disciple Ming Shirin quickly flew over the town. Their arrival caused the townspeople to exclaim in astonishment. After finally leaving Jinting Mountain for once, he took this opportunity to have some fun. Originally, he wanted to go down and enjoy himself, but considering that the master now likes new tricks, he had to give up on that idea. In that case, I'll be a good person and reward you ants with the treasures plundered by bandits. Begin. With these thoughts in mind, he opened his backpack and tossed it down towards the town. As the objects fell from the sky, the people on the streets quickly dodged, but as soon as they recognized the gold and silver, they immediately fell to the ground and kowtowed. At the same time, Lu Zhou received a notification. 35 people devoutly worshipped him, earning him 350 merit points. This scene made him feel delighted. After a while, Ming Shirin arrived at the territory of the Tiger Ridge Gang. Bold 8, I've come to see you. After speaking, he leaped up and floated towards the mountains and forests. Village Chief, there are cultivators outside the village seeking an audience. Zhu Honghong, who was sound asleep at the moment, received the report from his subordinates. Tell him to get lost, disturbing my sweet dreams. Castrate him, feed him to the fierce beasts in my back village. Since learning that the master's cultivation has been restored, he has been living in constant fear every day. Finally, he managed to sleep peacefully today, but his subordinates were confused after hearing his order. Just as they were about to explain further, suddenly, a hearty laughter came from outside. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Zhu Honghong immediately shouted and fell to the ground. Ming Shirin's figure slowly walked in from the outside. Seeing his appearance, Ming Shirin couldn't help but make a few teasing remarks. Seeing that only he was present, Zhu couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. You scared me. I thought it was our master who came. Turns out it's Senior Brother 4. Senior Brother, are you planning to join me here? I've always said that Jinting Mountain is not a place to stay. That place can't support people. As long as you come, I'll give you the position of Deputy Village Chief. Cut it out. You think I want this place of yours? It doesn't even have a gate, Ming Shirin said while swaggering past. His subordinates, who wanted to stop him, were scared and kept stepping back. Move aside. Seeing this, his gaze turned cold. Then, at Old 8's invitation, Ming Shirin sat in the main seat, his eyebrows furrowed, and he went straight to the point. I have a mission this time. Did you have any involvement in the kidnapping and extortion case in the city of Anyan CI family? Zhu Honghong hurriedly explained upon hearing this. Why would I have anything to do with it? Moreover, CI family is our junior sister's relatives. Even if I were a beast, it would be impossible. Hearing this, Ming Shirin asked calmly, I have already killed all the bandits. One of the accomplices was a cultivator who, before dying, mentioned Tiger Ridge Gang. Am I wrongfully accusing you? After listening, the other party's eyebrows furrowed, and he began analyzing the situation. He mentioned that since the establishment of the Tiger Ridge Gang, they have offended many cultivators in order to establish themselves. He suspects someone is framing him. I don't care. You have to come back with me to meet the master. Upon mentioning the master, Zhu Honghong broke out in a cold sweat and slumped to the ground. Master is injured, right? Just turn a blind eye to it. Why take it so seriously? After all, you will leave Jinting Mountain sooner or later. Shut up, you traitor who dishonors the master and ancestors. How dare you say such rebellious words in front of me? Kneel down. Upon hearing this, Zhu Honghong fell to the ground and apologized, with his trembling flesh shaking uncontrollably. A while ago, the master defeated the top 10 nascent divinity tribulation experts of the cultivation world. I believe you have heard about it. How dare you show no respect for him? Ming Shirin scolded Zhu Honghong, conveying a warning while also letting him know that the master's cultivation had not regressed but had become even more advanced. After hearing this, Zhu Honghong took out a letter from his pocket and handed it over, stating that it was sent by 7th Senior Brother. He said that master's cultivation level is at the perfected stage of the nascent divinity realm, and that master had tried to break through to a higher realm several times 200 years ago but failed. Also, when master was ambushed by the top 10 experts, someone witnessed him getting wounded by them. So, how did master recover his cultivation base? Upon hearing this, Ming Shirin furrowed his brows in suspicion and asked, what 7th Senior Brother means is that the master used some kind of secret medicine? That's right, you and I both know the cultivation level of eldest Senior Brother. His cultivation is not inferior to the master's. After all these years, eldest Senior Brother has never made a move against the master. Why? Throwing away the letter in his hand, Ming Shirin said, no one knows how many killer moves the master has hidden. It doesn't matter how many cards he has up his sleeve. In the end, he cannot surpass the limit of lifespan. He will die sooner or later. Upon hearing this, Ming Shirin was slightly surprised and asked, Old 8, 7th senior brother didn't write these words in the letter. Who told you? Did you figure it out with your pig brain? Was it 6th junior sister or 2nd senior brother? Zhu Honghong innocently replied, it's just my own thoughts. Alright, if you don't want to say, forget it. Look at how scared you are. I have thought about the words in the letter, but I am different from you. I still respect and follow the teachings of our master. During this time, the master is in seclusion on the mountain and probably won't come down. You should stay obediently at the Tiger Ridge gang and avoid causing trouble. Luckily, the master didn't order me to kill you. After hearing this, Zhu Honghong was overjoyed and quickly thanked Ming Shirin, bowing respectfully. Also, make sure to investigate the matter with the bandits thoroughly. I need to report back to the master, Ming Shirin said, leaving behind a residual image before disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. After he left, Zhu Honghong shivered uncontrollably, his legs trembling. His subordinates quickly asked what happened. Zhu Honghong nervously replied, it's nothing. Don't panic. Stay calm. At this moment, the figure of 7th senior brother appeared in his mind, and he couldn't help but feel relieved. That was close. 7th senior brother was right. Now the master has discovered that due to old age, the meridians are too old, the Dantian and Sea of Qi lack vitality, making it extremely difficult to gather energy. In other words, the techniques in my mind are suitable for the disciples. With this in mind, Lu Zhou shook his head helplessly. This old guy's condition is really uncomfortable. It seems that he needs to accumulate some vitality first, but now he only has 1,000 merit points, which is too few. At the current rate of accumulation, it's difficult for him to rejuvenate himself. However, the previous incident of old for killing the bandits earned him a considerable amount of merit points, and there are also the rewards from receiving the worship of the people. All of these provide substantial merit point rewards. With these thoughts in mind, he suddenly had an idea. Immediately, he called for Xia Yuaner and asked her if there was any recent news from the outside world. Xia Yuaner replied, I've been staying in Jinting Mountain all day and don't know what's happening in the world. It's a problem. Lu Zhou then calmly spoke. There is a station in Tangzi, the town nearest to Jinting Court Mountain. Cultivators often stop there to rest and share information, while others will pay them for information. You can go there to inquire. Upon hearing that she could leave Jinting Mountain, Xia Yuaner became overjoyed and asked with a bow, is it true? Why are you so happy? Have you been feeling oppressed staying on the mountain? No, it's just that I haven't been out for a long time, so I feel a bit bored. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou gave the order, then go. Remember, you must not reveal your identity casually, and you must not kill indiscriminately. But what if someone bullies me? Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou lightly patted her head. He didn't believe that his disciple would be bullied. If someone doesn't provoke me, I won't provoke them. But if someone provokes me, I will definitely retaliate. Understand? Understood. Your disciple will follow your orders. After saying that, Xia Yuaner leaped up and flew away. Watching her fly through the air, Lu Zhou couldn't help but feel envious. He wondered when he would be able to do the same. Just as he was contemplating, Duan Mushing came down to seek an audience. He informed Lu Zhou that 3 formations had been repaired, but there were still 5 more that needed to be fixed. At this rate, it seemed unlikely that he could complete the task alone. Lu Zhou was well aware of this fact. Originally, he had intended for the 3 of them to repair the formations together, but the formations required a significant amount of energy. Even with Duan Mushing's high cultivation level, he couldn't withstand the constant absorption of the formations. However, they dared to complain about repairing the formations. Lu Zhou couldn't afford to be weak. With this in mind, he coldly spoke. If it can't be repaired in 1 year, then 2 years. If it can't be repaired in 2 years, then 3 years. If anyone objects, I won't show mercy. Upon hearing these words, Duan Mushing broke out in a cold sweat and hastily replied, Disciple understands. Disciple will continue to repair the formations. After speaking, Duan Mushing left the place. Now, only Lu Zhou remained in the area. He opened the system panel once again and started the lottery. But to his surprise, he drew 10 times in a row and all he got was thank you for your patronage. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but angrily curse the system for being a scam. He then used the remaining 4 merit points to purchase a reversal card. Now, he had no more aspirations and could only lie there and wait for death. After all, it was difficult for this old man to find something to do, unlike in his previous life when he could go to the park to play chess, cards, or walk the dog. Just then, a series of system sounds rang out. Completion of the Zhou Jifeng defection mission rewards 200 merit points. Zhou Jifeng's hostility value reset to 0. Loyalty increased by 10%. Reward of 200 merit points for killing 2 elders. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou's eyes lit up and praised Zhao Yu for doing a good job. While he was happy, Ming Yin's figure floated up from below the mountain. Disciple completed the mission against all odds and has come to report to the master. Lu Zhou turned to look at him and his brows furrowed because Ming Yin's loyalty had dropped to 58 points, clearly indicating a problem. Seeing that the master didn't speak, Ming Yin continued. After killing the bandits, I immediately sent a carrier pigeon back and then went to Tiger Ridge Gang to see 8th junior brother. To see the traitor Zhu Honghong. I gave him a good lesson. Having finished his report, he waited silently for Lu Zhou's response. However, seeing that the master remained silent, he added, "Everything I said is true. I dare not speak any lies." At this moment, Lu Zhou calmly spoke. "You have done well in completing your mission. However, how is the investigation of the kidnapping of our junior sister's relative going?" Ming Yin answered that the matter was still under investigation and Zhu Honghong claimed he had no involvement in it. The disciple thought about it carefully and realized that Zhu Honghong didn't have a reason to do such a thing, especially since it involved our junior sister's relative. Although he betrayed the sect, the disciple doesn't believe he is capable of such cruel acts. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou nodded. "You make a valid point, but besides that," Ming Yin's heart trembled upon hearing this and he became nervous. He then pretended to be clueless. Seeing his reaction, Lu Zhou paused and coldly stared at him. "Going to old 8's place? You must have said more than just that." Ming Yin was shocked by these words, but he knew he could admit to anything except for his intention to defect. So, he nervously replied, "No, that's all." Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou shook his head. "Fine, if you don't want to say, I won't force you. You did a good job completing this mission. Go help your 3rd senior brother repair the formations. If there's a need, I will call for you." "Understood, Master." Ming Yin glanced around but didn't see Xia Yuan, so he asked, "Where is junior sister?" "It's none of your concern. No need to inquire," Lu Zhou replied. After that, Lu Zhou picked up a secret manual and started reading it carefully. However, Ming Yin didn't immediately leave. Instead, he suddenly kneeled down with a thump. "Master, I've cultivated the Bluewood technique to the last level, but no matter how hard I cultivate it, I just can't comprehend the essence of the last level. I hope Master can give me some guidance." It was evident that this was an intentional test. Ji Tiandao probably didn't hand over the complete Bluewood technique. If given to them, with the cultivation talent of these wicked disciples, they would soon make a breakthrough. At that time, the danger would be directed towards Lu Zhou himself. At this point, Lu Zhou cleared his throat. Old 4. Impatience is the biggest taboo for a cultivator. Behind every almighty expert is hundreds of years of boring meditation and hardship. I remember your last breakthrough was just 60 years ago. Why are you in such a hurry to scale to a higher level? Moreover, in the final stage of cultivation, it relies on comprehension. Your comprehension is good, but don't go astray and become restless. Upon hearing this, Ming Yin respectfully cupped his fists and thanked his master for the enlightenment. "Thank you for your enlightenment, Master. It was the foolishness of your disciple. I also have a boxing technique that I've been using recently, but it never seems to be quite right. I would like to ask for your guidance, Master." Lu Zhou furrowed his brows and asked, "What's wrong with it?" He speculated that this wicked disciple probably heard some rumors from old 8 that aroused suspicion, which led to this probing. If he refused, it would only make him more suspicious. However, if he agreed, he would have to figure out how to guide him. Mystic Enlightening Realm teaching Divine Court Realm. It's like asking a child to teach an adult. I can't use the Precious Peak experience card, right? I feel like this boxing technique can't unleash its full power. It feels like something is obstructing it when I strike. Lu Zhou pretended to remain calm and nodded. "Show me outside the pavilion." "Understood, Master." Ming Yin slowly stood up and then, with a light touch of his toes, he floated into the air as light as a swallow. He constantly moved and dodged, throwing punches left and right, leaving trails of afterimages in the air. The surrounding airwaves kept rolling out. After a few punches, he hovered in the air and shouted, "Master, this is the punch." At this moment, countless shadows of punches converged together and struck towards the mountain wall. With a loud bang, numerous rocks scattered in all directions. After a moment, Ming Yin landed back on the ground. Outside the pavilion, large rocks continued to crash down, luckily not affecting the small pavilion. Lu Zhou paused for a moment, feeling somewhat embarrassed. To be honest, he didn't actually see it clearly. With his current cultivation level, he couldn't keep up with Ming Yin's speed. However, based on his memory, he knew that this set of boxing techniques was indeed taught to Ming Yin by Ji Tiandao. There was nothing wrong with this punch. but due to the lack of the final set of oral instructions, its power was greatly reduced. After contemplating for a moment, Lu Zhou calmly spoke, "Your punch has reached its essence and there's no problem with it." Then, it seemed like he thought of something and his expression turned angry as he snorted. "Old 4, do you understand your mistake?" Ming Shirin was frightened by these words and cold sweat poured down his face. He immediately knelt down on the ground, loudly hitting his head in repentance. "I understand my mistake. I would never deceive Master." He felt extremely guilty at this moment, as if he could sense that his actions at Old 8's place had been completely exposed to his master. "Old 4, Lu Zhou lightly stroked his beard and looked towards a nearby giant rock. As expected, Duan Mushing appeared from nearby in the next second, floating over. "Since you're here, you might as well come out openly. Do you think I don't know you're hiding in the corner?" Upon hearing this, Duan Mushing, kneeling on the ground, quickly admitted his mistake. As Lu Zhou watched the three trembling in fear, he realized how deeply Ji Tiandao had instilled fear in them. If it were an ordinary villain, they would have rebelled long ago. "Old 4, since you're here, you can help guide him with his boxing technique. Cultivation matters cannot be taken lightly." Duan Mushing was overjoyed and replied, "Yes, I will follow your orders." Meanwhile, Ming Shirin wore an expression of frustration and despair. He couldn't believe that his master had become more cunning. In the past, Lu Zhou would personally beat people up, but this time he made senior brother do it instead. After the two of them left the pavilion, everything returned to calmness. Lu Zhou furrowed his brows, feeling a bit annoyed. Ming Shirin had indeed become suspicious, and if it continued like this, he would eventually find an excuse to spar with him. It would be a waste to use a peak experience card in that case, especially since there were only 2 left. But this situation couldn't go on forever. Perhaps he had to do it. Soon, Xia Yuaner returned to Jinting Mountain after completing the mission. This time, she did gather some information in Tangzi Town, and under Lu Zhou's instructions, she slowly began to speak. After defeating the top 10 experts, the 10 major sects are all adjusting. It is said that they are not recruiting disciples recently. Heavenly Sword Sect is in internal turmoil after Luo Changfeng's death. Eldest senior brother Zhou Jifeng has already left the section. Other sects are behaving obediently, except for eldest senior brother. Xia Yuana realized she misspoke and quickly stuck out her tongue before continuing. The Netherworld sect has sent people to inquire about news regarding Jinting Mountain. It seems like they are wary of Master. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou let out a cold snort. "I taught him many things, which made him into the fearful sect leader of the Nether sect and gave him a peak level, perfected cultivation base of the nascent divinity tribulation realm. Even so, he cannot touch me." "Go on." Xia Yuaner proceeded to share all the information she had gathered, as if she were listing treasures. She went on for about 20 minutes. Lu Zhou kept furrowing his brows while listening. Then, he called the other 2 disciples over. Ming Shiyin's face was already bruised and swollen. Lu Zhou looked at the 2 of them and spoke, "I called you here because there are a few things I need you to do. Zhou Jifeng of the Heavenly Sword Sect has betrayed Old 3. I want you to track and investigate him. With his current identity and status, it shouldn't be difficult for him to join a new sect. Report to me immediately once you have any news. Old 4, I have a rather special task for you. Throughout my life, I have caused much trouble, and I have handed over you 9 infamous villains who have caused much outrage. Now, I want you to get rid of the Scourge." Ming Shirin was startled by this and quickly knelt down. He replied, "Although I have the cultivation base of the Divine Court realm, I am still far behind eldest senior brother Yu Xinghai and second senior brother Yu Shanrong. In fact, I'm no match for even junior sister Qianqin. She owns the Amorous Hoop, which is a heaven-grade treasure, and she has killed countless people. I'm afraid that she has already broken into the nascent divinity tribulation realm." Lu Zhou naturally understood the situation. These disciples who betrayed the sect back then relied on their weapons and their fearsome cultivation bases to become notorious villains in the world. Duan Musheng, Ming Shirin, and Zhao Yu didn't leave simply because Ji Tiandao had left them without weapons and complete cultivation techniques. The eldest disciple, Yu Zhenghai, possessed the Jasper Saber, which was a heaven-grade treasure at its maximum power. The saber could even break apart the avatar of the same realm as him. Meanwhile, the 6th disciple, Yi Tianqin, mastered the heaven-grade treasure, the Amorous Hoop. Having pondered this, Lu Zhou calmly said, "Old 8's cultivation base is only at the Dao-controlling stage of the Divine Court realm, while you are at the Dao-transforming stage. You will start with him. Have you met Old 8 before?" Upon hearing the question from his master, Ming Shirin quickly replied, "Indeed, I did go to Tiger Ridge Gang. It's just that Old 8 is foolish. I suspect he was misled by 7th junior brother, which led to his betrayal. It doesn't warrant death." Lu Zhou remained silent upon hearing this, standing with his hands behind his back, facing away from Ming Shirin. After a moment, he slowly spoke, "Come here." Ming Shirin was frightened by these words. trembling uncontrollably. He then timidly walked towards the pavilion. Look me in the eyes. Lu Zhou turned around after speaking, his gaze full of meaning as he stared at him. You're very nervous, Lu Zhou said, his eyes fixed on Ming Shireen. Your gaze is erratic, and there's a faint flow of qi around you. Are you afraid that I'll make a move against you? Ming Shireen, drenched in cold sweat and with weak legs, quickly knelt down, begging for mercy. Master, your cultivation is unfathomable, and I know I'm no match for you. Being cautious is just instinctual, an unintentional act. Lu Zhou looked at his appearance and couldn't help but feel a sense of emotion. He had truly frightened him. Ji Tiandao's way of disciplining disciples had always been through physical violence, instilling both fear and resentment in them. If one day a disciple possessed the strength to rival their master, it was likely they would kill their master. It was inevitable that they had come to this point. I know what you're thinking, Lu Zhou said, so I'm giving you an opportunity. He handed over a piece of paper with the last level of the Bluewood Technique incantation written on it. With this technique, your cultivation will advance further. Perhaps even entering the nascent divinity tribulation realm is not out of reach. He passed the incantation to Ming Shireen, who stared at it in disbelief. In his heart, chaos ensued. According to the previous pattern, if he took something like this, at the very least, his hand would be broken. However, since Lu Zhou defeated the 10 top experts, his master's temperament suddenly changed. Even the old patterns were being replaced with new ones. In other words, he could take this. With these thoughts, Ming Shireen trembled as he reached out and accepted the incantation. Thank you, Master, for granting me this opportunity. I will do my best to clean up our sect. Lu Zhou nodded in satisfaction and dismissed him. The other 2 disciples watched with envy as Ming Shireen left. I hope you both fulfill your duties and don't disappoint me. We will follow your orders. Duan Mushing replied with a bow, then left the pavilion. Meanwhile, Xia Yuaner pouted, expressing her desire to go on a mission. You're still young and lack experience. Stay by my side, Lu Zhou said. Xia Yuaner, puzzled, said, wasn't Zhou Jifeng's task supposed to be carried out by senior sister Zhao Yu? Lu Zhou took a sip of his drink and proceeded to explain. Zhao Yu has an unpredictable style and lacks stability. She has been gone for 2 days since completing her task and has not returned. It's very likely that she has left directly. Xia Yuaner's expression turned pale upon hearing this. Does that mean senior sister won't come back? Frustrated, she clenched her fists. How can senior sister Zhao Yu be like this? Don't worry about her, Lu Zhou said nonchalantly. Since the day she sent the message, we haven't received any news from Zhao Yu. If Ming Shireen, the 4th disciple, had his loyalty drop below the passing line with just 1 outing, then Zhao Yu must have fallen under even stronger influence to choose to betray. He knew that it would take time and effort to properly discipline these disciples. Right now, the priority was to quickly restore vitality and improve cultivation. Xia Yuaner waved her fists, feeling indignant on Lu Zhou's behalf. She's betraying her master and ancestors. How can we just let it go? Lu Zhou found her adorable in that moment and said, in the meantime, you can inquire about Zhao Yu's whereabouts at the post station. I'll be here in solitude, focusing on my cultivation. Xia Yuaner acknowledged with a response and left the pavilion. Meanwhile, on their way down the mountain, the 2 disciples bumped into each other. Duan Mushing's tone carried a hint of envy as he said, Old 4, you're really lucky this time. Master not only didn't blame you, but also gave you the last part of the Bluewood Technique. Ming Shireen crossed his arms and replied, I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Overthinking? Duan Mushing's expression slightly changed. I completed my mission successfully, and it's only natural for Master to reward me. But 7th senior brother mentioned that Master possesses a secret medicine that can temporarily conceal injuries. So, I wanted to test it out. Sighing, he continued, regretting won't change anything now. Duan Mushing was surprised by this revelation. You really have a lot of guts. Even without 7th senior brother's words, I can understand. If Master wasn't injured and had reached a perfect realm, would he still need to stay on the mountain? With his temperament, he would have long gone out and killed. In the battle that day, he used so many powerful moves and remained unharmed. Normal cultivators wouldn't dare to waste their vital energy like that. Ming Shireen nodded repeatedly, expressing agreement. Senior brother, I always wanted the complete Bluewood Technique. With it, I believe it won't take me long to reach the perfected level of the Divine Court realm. Maybe I can even step into the nascent divinity tribulation realm, just like eldest senior brother and 2nd senior brother. However, now that I have obtained it, I have a feeling that is hard to describe. Ming Shireen continued. Duan Mushing picked up on the implications in his words and asked, ever since junior sister Qianxin betrayed the sect, Master no longer teaches the final part of all the techniques. But this time, he made an exception for you. Are you afraid that Master has other intentions? Ming Shireen nodded in agreement. Indeed, senior brother. What do you think his intentions are? Before he could finish speaking, Duan Mushing suddenly patted him on the shoulder. My suggestion is to honestly complete Master's tasks. Keep in mind that Master is injured and nearing the end of his lifespan. He won't harm us. Furthermore, the 10 major sects have suffered heavy losses and dare not easily provoke Jinting Mountain. I believe that for a long time, Jinting Mountain will remain our protective talisman. Ming Shirin's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and he felt more at ease. He quickly expressed his gratitude. Makes sense, senior brother. You are truly wise despite appearing foolish. Your words are like a sudden realization. The scene shifted. Although recently disciplining Ming Shirin earned him some merit points, the total was only 1,600 merit points. For him, who needed 3,000 merit points to advance to the next realm, it was still far from enough. Should I wait a bit longer? No, I can't wait any longer. This body's capabilities are too poor. I can't repeat Ji Tiandao's old path. It was because of his lifespan issue that his cultivation gradually declined. I have to draw the lottery as usual, Ming Shirin thought to himself, and he immediately took action. Unfortunately, in 5 consecutive attempts, he only received "thank you for your patronage," adding up to a total of 23 times. Including the previous 18 times, he only accumulated some luck points. Lu Zhou almost couldn't help but curse upon seeing this. Try 2 more times and then buy a reversal card with the remaining points, he decided, and continued his actions. However, the next 2 attempts still resulted in "thank you for your patronage. If I fail one more time, I won't draw anymore." As he became more and more invested, he quickly used up about 1,000 merit points. Now, he was left with only 104 merit points, and he collapsed on the ground with a look of despair. Although he acknowledged his luck, he couldn't do anything with these remaining merit points. He could only continue drawing. This time, it cost him 50 merit points and consumed 33 luck points. You have received a cultivation technique, 3 scrolls of heaven writing, 10 reversed cards, an avatar, 3 condensing flowers. He was shocked to witness this scene. The less hope he had, the more he seemed to draw. Realizing this, he became excited and danced around, feeling that he had struck it big this time. If you want to purchase 3 condensing flowers, it requires 3,000 merit points. 10 reversal cards cost 5,000 merit points. You have also obtained the cultivation technique 3 scrolls of heaven writing. Lu Zhou's thoughts stirred, and he opened the first book, Heaven Writing, the Human Scroll. He began to observe it, but sadly discovered that the content inside was like randomly drawn symbols, completely incomprehensible. Since that was the case, he could only set it aside for now. He then turned his attention to the reversal cards. Calculating approximately 300 days for each card, 10 cards were equivalent to nearly 10 years of lifespan. As he started using them one by one, a tremendous energy constantly converged into vortexes and was absorbed into his body. His previously lax skin gradually became slightly firmer. After using the Dharma Body 3 condensing flowers, Lu Zhou's realm instantly advanced to the sense condensing realm. Cultivators begin their journey by tempering their bodies, entering the body tempering realm, cultivating their tendons, bones, and skin, and breaking through 9 stages to reach the mystic enlightening realm. From there, they advance through the 5 apertures of heart, mouth, nose, eye, and ear in the mystic enlightening realm to reach the sense condensing realm. They then break through 3 stages to the Brahma Sea realm and finally open 8 meridians to step into the divine court realm. A cultivator is considered a grand cultivator when they enter the divine court realm. There are only 3 levels of grand cultivators: the divine court realm, the nascent divinity tribulation realm, and the mysterious heaven saint realm. Throughout ancient times, cultivators who truly reached the mysterious heaven saint realm only existed in legends. Nobody had seen them. It is said that only by reaching this realm can a cultivator break free from the limitation of lifespan and become immortal. Ji Tiandao was just 1 step away when he died in the gazebo. What a pity! After obtaining so many items through the draw, Lu Zhou felt quite satisfied. He then opened the system panel, which displayed 2 tasks: disciplining Zhu Honggong and Zhou Jifeng. Currently, he could only obtain merit points from disciplining the wicked disciples. He then analyzed the current situation. The 8th disciple, Zhu Honggong, was rather dull-witted. In theory, he should be the easiest to discipline, so why hasn't his loyalty increased yet? Based on the information from Ming Shirin's report, it seemed that there was some influence from the 7th disciple behind Zhu Honggong. The 7th disciple was skilled in scheming and, in order to establish a foothold in the cultivation world, should have formed good relationships with the eldest and 2nd disciples. It appeared that simply disciplining 1 disciple was far from enough. Only by improving his own strength could he deter both the wicked disciples and righteous cultivators. But for now, his cultivation was still too low. Lu Zhou sighed with a hint of helplessness as he thought about it. Dealing with the situation was indeed quite challenging. Jinting Mountain had attracted too much attention. He decided to focus on comprehending the heaven writing first. 2 days later, inside the Yinyu Palace, a graceful and beautiful woman was gently swaying a feather fan in her hand. She was Yi Tianqin, the 6th disciple of the current leader of the evil sect, and the 9th on the sinister list. She opened her eyes slowly and spoke as a figure approached from outside. "Senior sister, you should have left Jinting Mountain long ago. Why wait until now?" said Zhao Yu, the 5th disciple, with a sigh. "I didn't have the same luck as you. I thought I could get something out of that old guy, but he hasn't budged." Zhao Yu continued. "Since you left, he has never trusted us." Yi Tianqin floated down from above and said, "I advised you the same thing back then, senior sister. Although you entered before me, there are things you failed to see clearly. Who knows how many treasures that old man still has hidden on him? But unfortunately, all those treasures will go into his coffin with him. But I can give you a suggestion, senior sister," Yi Tianqin added. Zhao Yu became interested and asked, "What suggestion?" "The old man dotes on his youngest junior sister. You can use her to test his limits. If old 4 and old 3 have any ill intentions, the old man will never fully trust them. Only the youngest junior sister can stay by his side and protect him. Even with his secret medicines and hidden cards, they can never compare to a living person." Upon hearing this suggestion, Zhao Yu was shocked. "Seriously, even if I had 10 times the courage, I wouldn't dare to threaten the junior sister to manipulate the master. If it provokes him and he resorts to using his secret cards, like when he killed Luo Changfeng as a warning to others, it would be disastrous." Yi Tianqin seemed to see through her thoughts and asked, "What's wrong, senior sister? Are you scared? Think about how that old guy treated us in the past. You have to be ruthless and show no mercy." "I understand what you're saying," Zhao Yu replied, "but even eldest senior brother wouldn't dare to do such a thing. If I provoke him like that, it would be suicidal." Yi Tianqin chuckled and said, "Senior sister, you've been on the mountain for too long. You've become dull-witted. Who said you have to personally take action? Look at eldest senior brother, second senior brother, and even me. We're all doing well so far, aren't we? I admit that the old guy has some hidden cards, but he is cautious and won't use them easily. This just shows that his cards are limited." Yi Tianqin continued. "Besides, he's getting older, and his sea of qi will dry up over time. At that point, he will inevitably harbor resentment and use all his hidden cards. It's actually more dangerous to stay by his side. Our priority should be to find out his secrets using some means. Even if he finds out it's us, we can avoid him. Can't we outsmart him if we can't overpower him?" Hearing this, Zhao Yu's brows relaxed a bit. It seemed to make sense. She couldn't help but admit that Yi Tianqin had reached her current position not only because of her cultivation but also due to her cunning intelligence. They continued to plot how to scheme against their master in the Yinyu Palace. 2 days later, completely unaware of their plans, Lu Zhou was still in his room diligently studying the heaven writing. He felt frustrated. The name heaven writing was truly fitting because, apart from the content on the first page, everything else was shrouded in confusion. He couldn't understand its meaning at all. At that moment, Xia Yuaner's voice came from outside the door. "Master, you have been staying in seclusion for 4 days. 4th senior brother was here to see you yesterday, but I did not dare to disturb you, so I've asked him to leave." Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou immediately stretched his body and walked towards the door. When he opened the door, Xia Yuaner widened her eyes in disbelief. "Master, you look younger," she exclaimed. Lu Zhou stood with his hands behind his back, calmly gazing at her. While he had only become 10 years younger, there were some noticeable changes in his appearance. Smooth tongue. "I went into seclusion not only to improve my cultivation but also to rejuvenate this old body," Lu Zhou explained. "You've worked hard during these days." Xia Yuaner chuckled and quickly flattered him. This is my duty as Master's disciple. I believe Master can definitely make the breakthrough and become the first cultivator in the world of Great Yin who steps into the mysterious Heaven Saint realm." Lu Zhou was pleased to hear her words. He stroked his beard and then asked, "Has Old Third sent any news during these days?" Upon hearing that there was no news, he felt surprised. Given Duan Mushing's cultivation base, it should not be difficult for him to investigate Zhou Jifeng. Even if there were no results, he should have sent a letter with an update. Why was there complete silence? Xia Yuaner voiced her concern. "Master, could Old Third betray us like Zhao Yu's senior sister?" Lu Zhou replied, "It's unlikely because Duan Mushing's loyalty is above 70%, unlike Zhao Yu's low loyalty. Also, I haven't received any prompts from the system, which means Duanmushing hasn't betrayed us for now. However, it's hard to truly know someone's heart. In this world, people's hearts are unpredictable, so we shouldn't let our guard down. With these thoughts in mind, Lu Zhou couldn't help but sigh. Just then, Xia Yuaner suddenly pointed her arm upwards, indicating that someone was approaching. Lu Zhou looked up and saw Ming Shirin flying towards him like a bolt of lightning. Seeing his fourth junior brother again, Lu Zhou couldn't help but feel a bit envious because he could tell that Ming Shirin had comprehended more than half of the final layer of the Bluewood technique. It had to be said that these wicked disciples had remarkably high talent. "Welcome, Master." Out of seclusion, Ming Shirin said as he landed and knelt down on one knee. He also trembled in his heart upon seeing Lu Zhou because not only had the Master become younger, but his aura was also spine-chilling. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and calmly spoke. "Rise. You have comprehended about 70 to 80% of the final layer of the Bluewood technique. However, your cultivation technique leans towards the wood attribute, showing great vitality. Make good use of this advantage and don't let it go to waste." Upon hearing his master's guidance, Ming Shirin was overjoyed. Ever since his sixth junior sister left, the master hadn't given any instructions to his disciples. Therefore, under the circumstances of being abandoned by their own, the master's generous guidance was unexpected. Then, Ming Shirin reported the main matter. "Recently, when I was near Anyang, I heard news that the people of Junior Sister's clan seem to have been kidnapped again. I am willing to investigate and make sure to expose and eliminate the mastermind." As soon as he finished speaking, Xia Yuaner immediately knelt on the ground in worry. "Master, let me handle this." Lu Zhou pondered in his heart. After all, they were Xia Yuaner's clansmen, and her eagerness was understandable. However, when it came to dealing with this matter, Ming Shirin was indeed more experienced and had a higher cultivation level. It seemed more prudent to let him handle it. While he was considering this, a messenger bird suddenly flew back in the sky. Xia Yuaner quickly stood up and took the letter from it. Xia Yuaner said, "Master, when I went to the Heavenly Sword sect to investigate, I found that their sect leader position was temporarily vacant and that Zhou Jifeng had left the section. After further investigation, I discovered that he had joined the Righteous Sect. The sect leader of the Righteous Sect, Zhang Yuanzhan, appointed him as one of the sect's 4 elders, making him the youngest elder of the section. Due to Zhang Yuanzhan's profound cultivation base, I didn't delve deep into the Righteous Sect, but from the information I gathered, Zhang Yuanzhan publicly insulted the master several times and declared to the cultivation world that his sect was at odds with Jinting Court Mountain." Lu Zhou heard this and revealed a face of indifference. There are plenty of people who hate him in this world. Who is he to be concerned about? Xia Yuaner paused and continued. "When I was investigating at the Bamboo Mountain, the headquarters of the Righteous Sect, I fought a fierce battle with their second elder, Duda Fang, and won. A pity that I failed to kill that devious guy. As soon as I get my condition adjusted, I plan to visit the Righteous Sect at night and assassinate Zhang Yuanshan to help Master vent the anger." After hearing this, Ming Shirin was slightly surprised. "Third senior brother, this is risking his own life." Lu Zhou naturally understood the point of risk involved. Old 3 seemed honest on the surface but was actually daring and meticulous. He had clever ideas. Zhang Yuanshan, the sect leader of the Righteous Sect, had already stepped into the nascent divinity tribulation realm 100 years ago, while Old 3 was still in the Divine Court realm, one major realm behind. His attempt to assassinate Zhang Yuanshan would be no different from seeking death. Xia Yuaner, puzzled by this, asked, "Then why did senior brother say that?" Ming Shirin explained, "It's to show loyalty after Zhao Yu's betrayal. Fourth senior brother is expressing his faithfulness." Master, you're right. In fact, I'm much more honest than him," Ming Shirin said, feeling somewhat pleased with himself. Lu Zhou felt somewhat helpless after hearing this. It seemed that Duanmushing's understanding of him still remained in the style of Ji Tiandao. If Ji Tiandao himself were still around, he would definitely send Duanmushing to infiltrate the Righteous Sect at great risk. However, even if he allowed Duanmushing to go, he would surely prioritize his own safety, feigning injury. This would only widen the gap between master and disciple, leading to a vicious cycle. Thinking of this, he slowly spoke up, "Old Fourth, I was originally going to punish you all to repair the barrier of Jinting Mountain. The barrier formation can block experts in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. But now that Old Fourth has a mission, I want you to help him. After this matter is resolved, focus on cultivating on the mountain. I will bestow upon you a heaven-grade treasure." Ming Shirin, who was initially calm, immediately became ecstatic upon hearing the grand promise from his master. He knelt down on the ground and quickly responded, "Disciple obeys. 1 heaven-grade treasure. It's not just a matter of staying on the mountain for 3 years. Even if it's 5 or 10 years, it's still worth it." Many cultivators struggle their entire lives to obtain a heaven-grade treasure. Eldest senior brother, Yu Xinghai, possessed a jasper saber and had used it to decapitate tens of thousands of cultivators, making a name for himself. Practitioners of the same level without a heaven-grade treasure can only be slaughtered by others. It was said that the difference between a cultivator with and without a heaven-grade treasure was like a grandfather and a grandson, where the former could easily teach the latter a hard lesson. For many years, Master had been extremely cautious about giving out heaven-grade treasures, and I did not expect that he would promise to reward us with heaven-grade treasures at this critical moment. How could one not be excited about it? Then, he calmed his emotions and asked about how to deal with the matter of little junior sister's clansmen. Lu Zhou stated that it wasn't a simple matter and that he needed to discuss it with Ci Yuaner before making a decision. "I understand. I will go and support 3rd senior brother. After completing the mission, I will immediately return to Jinting Mountain to repair the barrier," Ming Shirin said. Following Lu Zhou's instructions, he leaped up like a lightning bolt and swiftly left the place. After Ming Shirin's departure, Ci Yuaner voiced her curiosity. "Master, isn't it just Zhou Jifeng? You seem to value him quite a bit." Lu Zhou felt somewhat helpless because he completely looked down upon Zhou Jifeng. However, he fabricated a reason and explained, "This guy previously attempted to assassinate me. The reason I spared his life is for him to see the true face of the Heavenly Sword sect. Even if he doesn't join us at Jinting Mountain, he will inevitably clash with the Heavenly Sword sect sooner or later." Ci Yuaner was slightly surprised to hear this because in the past, Master would simply go over and resolve matters with a sword. She didn't expect him to employ such tactics now. After a brief pause, she asked how to handle the matter concerning the Ci family. Lu Zhou replied, "This matter is not as simple as it seems. The reason I didn't let your 4th senior brother handle it is because I'm afraid he would handle it too crudely. Ming Shirin's way of dealing with things is almost identical to Ji Tiandao's. He would directly kill to save someone and then consider it done. As for the mastermind behind the scenes, we haven't investigated it carefully." Ci Yuaner heard this and immediately knelt down with a thump, pleading for him to think of a solution. Lu Zhou had already made up his mind. He calmly said, "In that case, I will personally go to Anyang." Ci Yuaner couldn't believe her ears when she heard that Master would personally take action. In her impression, Master hadn't left Jinting Mountain for a very long time. Although nobody talked about the reason, they vaguely guessed that it was due to his health. She never expected that he would personally intervene in their family matter this time. "This matter must be kept confidential. Also, leave a letter to inform your senior brother. If there are any other matters, I will send a letter." Ci Yuaner responded and quickly prepared the letter, while Lu Zhou made some minor changes to his appearance and disguise. After all, as long as he wasn't recognized, it would save him a lot of trouble. Once everything was in order, he summoned Whitezerd. In the sky above Jinting Mountain, auspicious lights illuminated the area, and after a while, a mystical beast slowly revealed its head. The beast resembled a flying deer, covered in white fur, with wings on its abdomen, and surrounded by magnificent colorful lights. Whitezerd circled in the air for a moment before gently descending in front of the two. Lu Zhou calmly extended his hand, inviting Ci Yuaner to sit on the mount. Ci Yuaner was shocked and hesitated, claiming that she didn't dare to ride on Master's mount. Lu Zhou reassured her, saying, "It's fine. Just sit in front of me." They would reach Anyang in less than an hour. It took energy for a cultivator to fly. To win against a flying mount, one would have to use a divine ability like Soul Chase, but these divine abilities usually consumed more energy, so they were not suitable for traveling. For most cultivators, it was already considered an astonishing achievement to capture and tame a legendary mount like Whitezerd, let alone ride one. There was a saying in the cultivation world, if you don't own a legendary mount at birth, you won't have one for the rest of your life. "Sit tight," Lu Zhou immediately reminded. Whitezerd let out a cry and transformed into a streak of light, flying towards the city of Anyang. Along the way, Ci Yuaner sat on its back, filled with joy, but Lu Zhou felt uncomfortable. After all, his cultivation level was still too low, and the speed was taking a toll on his body. Soon, an hour passed, and the city of Anyang appeared before them. Lu Zhou had Whitezerd stop outside the city, giving himself some time to recover from the trembling state. Ci Yuaner, on the other hand, couldn't get enough and kept stroking Whitezerd while praising its appearance. It seemed that women had a similar perspective when it came to appreciating things. To avoid attracting attention, Lu Zhou quickly put away Whitezerd. They also needed to change their appearances and disguise their aura. They arrived at a farmhouse outside the city and changed into ordinary clothes. After concealing their auras, they walked into the city. Xia Yuaner jokingly said, "Master, you look more like an old farmer now." Lu Zhou waved his hand, indicating that it was all right, and said, "From now on, we can address each other as grandfather and granddaughter." Xia Yuaner understood and attempted to call him grandpa. However, the sudden change in address made her feel uncomfortable, but once she got used to it, she couldn't stop herself from calling him grandpa repeatedly. It became addictive. Upon entering the city of Anyang, they noticed the bustling crowd. Xia Yuaner looked around and casually grabbed 2 candied haws. "Hee, Grandpa, this is so fun," she exclaimed. "Hey, you haven't paid yet." The vendor hurriedly chased after her, shouting and trying to stop her. Xia Yuaner felt annoyed at his words. "Get lost. It's your lucky day that I'm eating your stuff. If you keep bothering me, I'll make you regret it," she retorted fiercely. Lu Zhou felt helpless seeing this scene and reprimanded, "Yuaner, pay up." Upon hearing her master's words, she immediately became timid, pouting her mouth as if feeling greatly wronged. "Grandpa, he's so fierce. I listened to you and didn't even hit him," she muttered. Lu Zhou shook his head upon hearing her words. "If everyone starts grabbing things like you did, who would dare to sell candied haws in the future?" Realizing her mistake, Xia Yuaner nodded and handed a pile of gold and silver to the vendor, who didn't expect such generosity. He happily left the scene. Meanwhile, a crowd had gathered on one side of the street. Xia Yuaner, who enjoyed watching lively scenes, hopped over at Lu Zhou's instruction. However, she found it difficult to squeeze through the crowd of tall and strong men. After several unsuccessful attempts, she became frustrated. "Move aside," Xia Yuaner exclaimed and stomped fiercely on the ground. With a loud bang, the previously solid ground instantly cracked. The surrounding crowd quickly retreated in fear. As the crowd dispersed, several disciples responsible for recruiting in the market center noticed the commotion. One of them nodded approvingly and said, "Not bad, not bad. Young lady, would you like to join our sect? You have a good foundation. That kick you just delivered had the strength of someone at the 5th level of the quenched body realm." Xia Yuaner heard this and couldn't help but feel disdainful. "When did I say I want to join your stinking dragon association?" A man who felt insulted stood up and angrily shouted, "You are bold, little girl. How dare you insult the Azure Dragon Association?" In response, Xia Yuaner immediately stomped and shattered the man's table. "What is Azure Dragon Association? What are you doing here? Tell me now. My grandpa is waiting." The man, alert to the situation, tightened his grip on the weapon behind him. "How could you not know about the Azure Dragon Association?" Seeing the man preparing to act, Lu Zhou walked over and snorted coldly. His voice, infused with a trace of inner power, clearly reached the man's ears. Sensing this inner power, the man mistakenly believed that Lu Zhou was only at the 7th or 8th level of the quenched body realm. Lu Zhou didn't have time to bother with them. He leaned in and whispered in Xia Yuaner's ear, "You can ask for help from the Azure Dragon Association in Anyang to investigate the matter concerning the CI family." Xia Yuaner's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and she turned her head to reprimand them. "All of you, come over here." Hearing these words, the man's face immediately darkened. This wild girl probably doesn't know that the backer of the Azure Dragon Association in Anyang is the Netherworld sect, right? "What? The Netherworld sect?" Xia Yuaner seemed visibly stunned upon hearing this. "Isn't the leader of the Netherworld sect eldest senior brother?" Lu Zhou furrowed his brow and looked at the man again to confirm. "Are you saying that the backer of the Azure Dragon Association is the Netherworld sect?" "That's right, old man. I think you're not bad. Join the Azure Dragon Association as a lackey. Not only will you have good food and drink, but the Azure Dragon Association will also have your back. Your granddaughter has more potential than you, and she looks pretty too. I can talk to the sect master and let the two of you join together," the man said with a smug smile. Xia Yuaner secretly glanced at Lu Zhou, assuming he was silent because he was angry. Her master had said not to kill people indiscriminately, but he hadn't said anything about not hitting them. With this thought in mind, her eyes brightened, and she lifted her leg and kicked the man's chin with force. With a loud bang, the man's entire body was sent flying into the air. Xia Yuaner swiftly followed, kicking him in the chest and then landing a punch on his face. She continued with a flurry of punches, the sound of impacts reverberating throughout the venue. Not long after, the barely conscious man could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground, completely limp. Xia Yuaner, still filled with anger, lifted the man's face with the tip of her foot, resembling a pig's head, and coldly stared at him. "Insolent, do you think you can call my master that?" The onlookers were frightened by the scene and quickly retreated to a safe distance. The remaining 2 members of the Azure Dragon Association finally reacted and brandished their weapons, reprimanding, "Is there no law? Is there no order? How dare you assault someone openly in broad daylight?" Upon hearing this, Xia Yuaner kicked the man to the ground and declared, "Not only can this miss hit people, but she can also kill them." With that, she chuckled, revealing her 2 small tiger teeth. A few strands of chi unconsciously emanated from her body. Oh, this isn't quenched body realm. At the very least, it's a mystic enlightening realm expert, they thought, trembling in fear and immediately kneeling down to beg for mercy. Lu Zhou approached and praised Xia Yuaner for her actions. She was delighted to hear his words. They insulted you, so I couldn't help myself. I had to teach them a lesson. Lu Zhou then turned to the two kneeling men and demanded, "Where's the main branch of the Azure Dragon Association located?" One of the men answered, "In Anyang, 3 miles north of the ancient river." Lu Zhou's gaze turned cold. "As a newcomer to Anyang, I am not familiar with the place. Go back and tell your leader that I will personally visit tomorrow." The two men hurriedly replied and quickly fled with their companion. Master's plan is well thought out. By finding out their headquarters, we can deal with them properly. Xia Yuaner's eyes lit up as she grasped the reasoning behind her master's actions. Lu Zhou adjusted his beard helplessly. "What a mess. I need to utilize them to investigate the matter concerning the Xi family." Speaking of which, he shifted his attention to Xia Yuaner and asked, "After being away for so many years, do you still remember where home is?" Xia Yuaner replied after hearing the question, "I only remember that there are 2 stone lions at the entrance of our house. My father loved martial arts, while my mother enjoyed embroidery." She then revealed a melancholic expression. Lu Zhou understood that Xia Yuaner had been living on the mountain since childhood and hadn't returned home, so it was normal for her to not remember much. Afterward, the two inquired around the city and quickly found the location of the Xi family. Since the city of Anyang was not large, and the Xi family was a prominent household, it wasn't difficult to gather information. Upon arriving at the entrance of the Xi family, Yuaner became excited and danced around, picking up the stone lions to play with. Lu Zhou quickly stopped her. "Since you've returned home, don't be so mischievous." They pushed open the gate and found a steward-like person cleaning the courtyard. The steward looked puzzled upon seeing 2 villagers disguised individuals and asked who they were. "Where are my father and mother?" Yuaner eagerly approached and looked around. The steward was taken aback. "Who is this little girl? Your parents aren't here." Upon hearing this, Yuaner's expression darkened, and she immediately slapped the steward. "Get out of the way! Don't block my grandfather." She then held onto Lu Zhou and walked towards the inner courtyard. The surroundings appeared desolate and cold. "You, come here. Where are my father and mother?" Yuaner pointed angrily at the steward. Confused once again, the steward couldn't recognize her. After all, Yuaner had left the Xi family at a young age. Lu Zhou glanced at the steward and asked for his name. The steward, rubbing his fiery cheeks, stuttered and introduced himself as Wang Fugue, the steward of the Xi family. Xi family's manager, Xian, has also been taken hostage, he said. Lu Zhou then pointed at Xi Yuaner and introduced her as Xi Yuaner from the Xi family. Wang Fugue swallowed nervously, looked her up and down, and immediately knelt down, crying, "Miss, you've finally returned. I am Wang Fugue." Xia Yuaner scratched her head and, despite leaving home at a young age, seemed to have some memories of the steward. After Wang Fugue's explanation, it was revealed that most of the Xi family members had been abducted by a gang called the Lakeside Gang. No one knew the background of this gang or who was behind it. Their whereabouts could not be traced either. Due to the repeated abductions of the Xi family within a short period, the remaining servants and staff were too afraid to stay and abandon their duties, taking away the household's belongings. Only Wang Fugue remained. After listening, Lu Zhou sipped his tea and inquired, "Why didn't you report to the authorities?" "We did report, but the officials couldn't find any leads. On the day when the Xi family was abducted, everyone except for the servants who were out on errands was taken. I happened to be in the outhouse, so I managed to escape," Wang Fugue explained. Curious, Xia Yuaner asked, "Then why didn't you run away?" Wang Fugue is loyal to the Xi family. "I was born a member of the Xi family, and even in death, I am a ghost of the Xi family," Wang Fugue replied. Lu Zhou smiled faintly at his response. "You are indeed loyal. However, keep Yuaner's return a secret. As for the Xi family's abduction, I will investigate it myself." Having said that, Lu Zhou dismissed Wang Fugue. He arranged for Yuaner to go to the Azure Dragon Association early the next morning to investigate the so-called Lakeside Gang. After everything was settled, Lu Zhou lay on the bed to rest. At this moment, he heard the voice of the system in his ear. "Complete the task to support Duan Musheng. Reward, 200 merit points." He frowned as he looked at the task panel. When he left Jinting Mountain, he had assigned the task for both of them to repair the barrier together. However, the task panel only showed Ming Shireen. There was only one possibility. Old 3 was injured. Meanwhile, inside Jinting Mountain, Ming Shireen felt puzzled after reading the letter left by Xia Yuaner. He never expected that the master had actually left the mountain. He wondered what the old man was thinking. Duan Musheng, who was next to him, coughed a few times and offered his speculation. Perhaps he's been staying on the mountain for too long and wants to go out to relax, but he doesn't want others to know his identity. Ming Shireen stood up after hearing this and said, "You make a good point. The master has been playing by his own rules lately, and I can't figure out what he's thinking. Our previous master had absolute strength and disdained using his brain. He believed that all schemes were futile struggles in the face of absolute power." Duan Mushing sighed and said, "Perhaps, but repairing the barrier will be a lot of work for you, junior brother. My injury may take 3 to 5 months to heal." Just as he finished speaking, a towel was slapped on his face. "You're being too optimistic. Just pretend a little. Don't take advantage of the situation. Both of us grew up being beaten. We've endured worse injuries than this. I'll give you 10 days. If it goes beyond 10 days, I'll quit. When the master returns, he'll deal with you." Embarrassed, Duan Mushing sat up and said, "Junior brother, you're truly clever. Most likely, 7 days will be enough. You can leave now. I need to focus on healing. It's not convenient for 2 single men to be in the same room." Upon hearing this, Ming Shireen widened his eyes and gave him a disgusted look. "Ha!" He huffed and turned around to leave the room. The next day in the early morning, while thinking in the courtyard, he noticed a flying letter coming towards him. He lightly stepped forward and took the letter down. After reading it, he was shocked and alarmed. How did the master know that third senior brother was injured? He quickly looked around and his aura surged out involuntarily, sensing everything within a radius of hundreds of meters. However, besides some ordinary birds and animals, he didn't detect anything unusual. The lack of abnormalities only made him more nervous, as if the master was watching him from nearby. Being clever, he immediately knelt down and shouted, "Master, your disciple did not mean to disrespect you. Please rest assured, your disciple will work hard to repair the barrier and take care of Jinting Mountain." After everything was said, he let out a sigh of relief and comforted himself. "Don't panic. As long as I follow the master's plan, everything will be fine." At that moment, Lu Zhou was unaware of the situation and was reading the human volume in the 3 scrolls of heaven writing. With his cultivation progressing, a few pages of text appeared on it, which left him speechless. The purpose of practicing heaven writing was to quickly improve his cultivation, but now he had to improve his cultivation first in order to see the text. It seemed a bit counterproductive. Although he had entered the sense-condensing realm, he still felt like an ant in the face of divine court realm experts. After reading those pages of heaven writing, he found it quite boring. The thought of the lottery crossed his mind, but he immediately shook his head. "That thing is addictive. I'll consider it when I have more merit points." Meanwhile, inside the Azure Dragon Association's stronghold, the leader Lu Jingfeng looked down below with a furrowed brow. "Are you saying that the person who injured you all is a young girl who looks like she's only 15 or 16 years old, and there was an old man with her? What gives them the audacity to provoke the Azure Dragon Association?" The 2 subordinates below answered with mournful faces, "We don't know. We were recruiting disciples on the streets of Anyan when that wild girl suddenly appeared and severely injured Elder Jian. The old man even mentioned that he would visit personally." Lu Jingfeng, with a disdainful expression, said, "Today, take 20 of our brothers and find the ones who injured Elder Jian." Just as the arrangements were made, one of his subordinates hurriedly ran over and reported, "Leader, there's a woman outside requesting an audience." "Refuse." Lu Jingfeng was currently in a fit of anger. He had no mood to meet any woman. She said her patience is limited, and until she can still obey her grandfather's order, she asked you to do as she said. Before the words could finish, several loud bangs were heard, accompanied by cries of pain, as a few figures were sent flying in. Lu Jingfeng's anger turned into rage. He quickly ordered his subordinates to go out and investigate. C.I. Yuaner was pulling a subordinate who had lost consciousness, angrily saying, "I already said it. My patience is limited. It's already good that I didn't beat you all up. How dare you make me wait outside?" Confused, the leader Lu Jingfeng became furious and led his subordinates to the entrance. One of his subordinates recognized the person and nervously said, "Leader, she's the one who injured Elder Jian." Upon hearing this, Lu Jingfeng's brow furrowed as he realized that the woman before him was a formidable expert. At that moment, C.I. Yuaner placed her hands on her waist and looked disdainfully at the group. "So, you're the so-called leader of this Azure Dragon Association? Don't think that being in the Brahma Sea realm makes you invincible." Not understanding the principles of modesty and humility, C.I. Yuaner just wanted to quickly complete her master's task and asked, "I'm asking you, are you the leader of these little minions?" "I am Lu Jingfeng, the leader of Azure Dragon Association's Anyang branch." "My words hold weight," replied Lu Jingfeng with slight annoyance. C.I. Yuaner, undeterred, continued, "Well, that's perfect. I have something to instruct you." Lu Jingfeng's expression darkened upon hearing this. When has the esteemed leader of the branch ever suffered such humiliation? "Enough, take her down," Lu Jingfeng shouted, and the archers beside him received the command, immediately releasing their bows and arrows. With a whooshing sound, the arrow came whistling in with the fierce wind. However, Yuan stood still with her hands behind her back, unmoved. "You disobedient leader," she said coldly, and the arrows suddenly halted in midair. Several majestic bursts of aura instantly emanated from her body. The next second, a thunderous explosion echoed as the powerful aura crashed forward like an avalanche. The surrounding buildings crumbled into rubble, leaving only Lu Jingfeng barely able to withstand the force. He widened his eyes in disbelief. Could it be that she was a Brahma Sea Realm expert with 8 open meridians? The Brahma Sea Realm was divided into 8 meridians. A cultivator could only be considered to have officially stepped into the realm after opening the Conception and Governor meridians, and reached the highest level after opening the other 6 meridians. When all 8 meridians were opened, the cultivator could use the energy in the meridians to attack. With all 8 meridians opened, the cultivator was invincible below the Divine Court realm. No matter how powerful the Azure Dragon Association's Sanyang branch was, it was impossible for them to have a Divine Court realm expert stationed there. As fellow cultivators in the Brahma Sea realm, Lu Jingfeng ultimately couldn't withstand the power. He was sent flying and crashed into a wall in the distance. "Wait, wait," he quickly pleaded for mercy as he regained his senses. "What do you want me to wait for?" Yuan floated over to him as if nothing had happened, her fists clenched. "I didn't expect you to be a Brahma Sea realm expert with all 8 meridians opened. Please forgive me for not recognizing your greatness. I beg you to spare me. Let's talk things through." Seeing the fear in his eyes, Yuan stated her purpose. "I have something to ask of you. Help me investigate the Lakeside Gang. They were the ones behind the CI family kidnapping." "The Lakeside Gang?" Lu Jingfeng looked bewildered. "I've never heard of that name. They orchestrated the kidnapping of CI family. I'll give you 3 days to find their whereabouts." Hearing the connection to the CI family, Lu Jingfeng instantly broke into a cold sweat. He replied, "A gang audacious enough to kidnap the CI family is beyond the control of the small Azure Dragon Association." Say that again." Yuan stared at him, her fists clenched tightly. Witnessing this scene, Lu Jingfeng trembled in fear. "My lady, I will find the whereabouts of the Lakeside Gang within 3 days." Satisfied with his response, Yuan swiftly approached one of Lu Jingfeng's subordinates. "Was it you who shot arrows at me earlier?" The subordinate, terrified, desperately shook his head, denying his involvement. "It was you," Yuan said, lifting her small foot and gently stepping on the floor beside the man. With a loud bang, a clear footprint appeared on the solid ground. "What a coward!" She made a mocking face. After leaving a statement, she walked out of the gates of the Azure Dragon Association with an imposing manner. "Be obedient. If you don't do as I said, I'll kill the entire Azure Dragon Association." Looking at the small footprints before him, the surroundings fell into silence. The subordinate was on the verge of having an out-of-body experience and dying on the spot. It took Lu Jingfeng a while to recover from his shock before he was filled with immense doubt. City of Anyang. When did such a young expert emerge? If it were any other faction causing trouble, they could have easily killed us. But this girl just injured us all and assigned a task. It's really strange. Lakeside Gang? Does the city of Anyang have such a force?